The following is a paid political announcement.
Bless good night, everyone. Bless good night, everyone. Let us go in prayer. Oh God, you are helping all ages pass in this life. You are hope, dear God, for years to come. And our shelter, Lord, from the stormy blast of life. Indeed, oh God, you are our eternal home. We thank you, dear God, for the past day. We thank you for protecting us, oh God, from danger seen and unseen. May thou continue to be a lamp unto our path, dear God, and even a light unto our feet. For Heavenly Father, you are the way, the truth, and the light. As we come to this place, dear God, to have this meeting in the village of Goodwood, dear God, we ask you, Heavenly Father, to continue, Lord, to inspire us. Continue, dear God, to motivate us. Continue, dear God, to speak to the hearts of those that will eventually impart words unto us. That words of wisdom, Lord, will be imparted and be etched upon our hearts, O Heavenly Father, dear God. That above all, we remember your name. That you are the Alpha and the Omega. You're the beginning and the end, O God. You're the author and the finisher of every faith. And Heavenly Father, you hold the palm of this, you hold this nation, Heavenly Father, in the palm of your hands. And Heavenly Father, O God, eventually we can make, O God, the right decisions. Heavenly Father, Lord, bless every speaker again, O God. Bless those that are on the way, I pray, dear God. Grant them, O God, your traveling mercies. And at the end of the meeting, I pray, dear God, that we go back, Heavenly Father, safe to our various destinations. Let us close by saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us, Lord, our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Amen.
Goodwood, good night. It's a pleasure to be here at James Street Junction. Let me first acknowledge I am Satika Williams Orr, and tonight hosting duties are shared with Councillor Orlando Kerr, who is the candidate for Roxborough Guile. Where you? Let me acknowledge political leader of the Tobago People's Party and Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine. Let me also acknowledge the Chairman of the Tobago People's Party, Ms. Natasha II, the Deputy Political Leaders, and all other members of the Executive of the TPP. All the candidates who will be facing...
Right. Good evening, good evening. We are here at Goodwood, and I am your host, Petal Ann Roberts, and we have...
I'm Sonny Alfred Craig, your assistant for the evening, or your partner for the evening.
Yes, yes.
All right? Things are waxing warm. We see the supporters are out in their numbers.
Yes, you have a lot of noise in the background.
The numbers seems to favor Goodwood more than any other district so far. It could be from where we are sitting, but the crowd is animated. I could hardly hear anything, and it says that this party is truly loved in the Goodwood, Mount St. George area. Yeah?
Yes, the support is indeed strong here tonight. The place have lit up. It has lit up blue. I don't know if you ever saw a lighted blue wave, but we have lots of flags, lots of people here tonight, all dressed in blue. And we are having a wonderful time here at Goodwood.
You know, sorry, coming out of Bagatelle this evening, the start was late unavoidably, and we know it's a lot of mobilization, a lot of logistics in moving a meeting from one general location to this one. Although we were partially set up here already, but we must apologize for the late start this evening. But it promises to be very informative. And who do we have speaking tonight?
Well, tonight, we know we are in the constituency of Mount St. George Goodwood. So obviously the prospective candidate, Megan Morrison, will be speaking. We'll also hear from Natasha Charles-Pantin, who is the prospective candidate for Bagatelle, and also Dr. Faith Brebnor, who is the prospective candidate for Belle Garden area. So we do have speakers lined up, and obviously we will hear from the political leader, the Honorable Farley Augustine. So tonight we have our usual speakers. I suspect that we will have a shortened version of the speeches in the interest of time.
All right, so here we go.
Faithful
servant. Williams
she has been loyal.
One of the hosts.
She has been
So
deliberate.
let's go over to Speyside where you can see what's really going on at this time. Yeah?
Yes, we are about to begin, so let's go stateside to Sutika Williams' home.
And tonight we have come in our numbers to endorse, to give her thanks for her service, and to endorse her for another term. There is no other candidate on the ballot that deserves a second choice. But Megan, ignore all the others. Stay focused. Keep your eyes on the anchor, and the anchor only on January 12th, 2026. Brothers and sisters, we have come from Mason Hall South, Bagatelle, and we have moved into this area. We just left and we gave a proper endorsement and full support, VAT inclusive, to the candidate for Mason Hall South, Bagatelle, Natasha Charles-Pantin. And we have come. We moved eastward with the blue wave. And we have come to give VAT-inclusive support and endorsement to Megan Cicely Morrison.
You respect that?
And let us put our hands together as Mrs. Natasha Charles-Pantin, the candidate for Mason Hall South, Bagatelle, comes to endorse her colleague.
Sun is rising over Bagatelle Estate. The light is clear and true. A brand new day for Bagatelle Gardens. A promise waiting for you. We've walked the road, we know the journey. The path we've taken so far, from Bagatelle Trace to Bagatelle Crescent. She's shown us who we are. Now January 12th is calling. No time to hesitate. Hear the drum beat rising, calling out the change we see for Mason Hall South Bath.
Good evening to Mount St. George Goodwood. Good evening to every community, every street, every valley, every hilltop, every family across this beautiful district. This is not a rent-a crowd. We're here to support the candidate, Megan Morrison, exceptional candidate. Tonight we continue our journey together
under a message that speaks to the heart of who we are as Tobagonians. A message declared by our political leader in Bethel Newgrange public meeting. One that reminds us that our future, our progress, and our identity belongs to all of us.
You respect that. You respect that. You respect that.
Tobago is we. This is not just a slogan. It is not just a theme. It is a declaration of unity. It is a promise that every Tobagonian matters. It is a reminder that Tobago does not belong to a few privileged people. Tobago belongs to all of we. And guess what? Megan is we. One thing I can say about Assemblyman Megan Morrison is that she's a community advocate. An activist. She's a mover and a shaker.
You respect that. You respect
I
that.
could tell you when Megan talk, I am all scared.
You respect
Because
that.
if I have to look for an area representative, I want Megan Morrison. Whenever Megan around the table, Megan does remember every single problem in she district. Every single problem. She don't forget. She always lobbying for the people of Mount St. George, Goodwood. So I encourage all of you this evening to go out and vote for Megan Morrison. Megan is we. I could tell you, every time I see Megan coming up with a new initiative for Mount St. George, Goodwood. Tell me if you remember. What is the first initiative? Loaves of Love. And all we adopt it across Tobago. Then she had back to school drive. Eye testing for children. And then a car meet. A big thing down in Studley Park.
You respect that. You respect
Correct.
that.
Megan always coming up with some new initiative. Market Day. So Megan is an yes, you see, the work drive. So Megan is an outstanding area representative. I tell you, no lies. Megan does remember every single problem in she community. Yes. Always effective around the table. So I have no doubt that Megan Morrison will continue to serve at a very high standard for all of we.
You respect that. You respect that. You respect that.
And I'll tell you one of the initiatives under the Division of Health that she championed. I'm sure you remember, to end period poverty. Women, Megan is an innovator. She always comes up with something for women, something for children.
You respect that.
Yeah?
You respect that. You respect that.
So I can tell you that Megan will, no doubt, will represent you. You see that fishing facility in Studley Park, where we call in Barbados Bay? I remember telling Megan, I said, Megan, we're going to fix up that fish facility. But you have to go and talk to the people. You have to decide what you want for your community. And Megan came up with an excellent idea for that fish facility. You're not going into it, when you pass, you could see all the fish that are available. Yeah? Megan was part of that team. So when I tell you Megan is heavily involved in her community, no lies. Megan always inquiring about every project, telling us what we need to do for the farmers because it's a big farming community. Every grant, every incentive, Megan know about it and she coming for it first. She coming for it first. So I am proud to stand here this evening all the way from Mason, South Bagatelle, to endorse my beautiful colleague, Megan Morrison.
You respect that?
January the 12th. It's right around the corner. So you will choose Megan Morrison as your competent area representative. You will choose direction. You will choose development. You will choose representation. You will choose leadership that listens, works, and delivers. Choose Megan Morrison. Choose the Tobago People's Party. Tobago is we. Megan is we. And I promise my colleague Orlando I wouldn't be too long because of the hour. But Megan Morrison, all the love from Mason, all South Bagatelle. Blessings to you and your district. God bless all of you. Have a good night.
First, yeah. TPP we voting for. Oh lad, we've been waiting so long.
Yes, TPP family, wave your flag, wave your flag, wave your flag. Let me see the flag, let me see the flag. Yes, Goodwood, come the 12th of January. No other choice but Megan.
All right, so here we go. Charles-Pantin is saying. We saw the endorsement from Natasha Charles-Pantin. She's the potential representative for the district of Mason Hall South Bagatelle.
So we have to get them right.
She'll be joining us on set.
Yes.
Right, so let's just take a break. We take a short break and have Mrs. Pantin on set.
Yes.
So you can have a short word with her, yeah?
Okay, I will.
So we take a short break.
Don't forget. Right. So we're about to bring on an assemblyman who will be returning. Charismatic, has been on the struggle for a very long time, has the experience. I want you to welcome, in a true TPP fashion, Assemblyman for Belle and Goodwood, Dr. Faith Brebnor. Bring her on. Give us some music there. Come TPP family, we could do better than that. Let's go, let's go.
How was it this evening?
My meeting was lovely. We had a lot of people coming out to support. I was able to give an account of my stewardship.
You know you are one of the hardest working secretaries, I must say.
So I'm just happy. I felt the love. I felt the energy. I'm just happy to, have to present to the people and to have the receipts to show and to dispel all the negative in the space as it relates to what I have done in the district and that the division.
Before we go to the endorsement of Megan, how do you feel? You have done this before, 2020, 2021. How do you feel right now?
Megan is a powerhouse, and around the table, she always lobbies for her community. And it was just natural to endorse her because she has done so much, being an assistant secretary and a representative, not being a full secretary. She was still able to execute a lot of things in her district. I think she's a remarkable person, and some of her programs as well, ending period poverty. I mean, anybody doing anything for women, correct. Yeah, correct. All right, I tend to gravitate towards people who do these types of things, right? Because we have to build Tobago, right? Tobago is we, right? And Megan, I think she's an excellent candidate for Mount St. George Goodwood.
So I just want to wish you all the best at the polls on January 12th. I know you will be successful. You are one of the hardest working secretaries. I think you have also represented your constituency very, very well, your electoral district extremely well. I'm wishing you all the best, and I'm looking forward to working with you for the next 4 years. And best wishes to you.
Thank you so much.
We go stateside now to Dr. Faith Brebnor, who will now have her presentation to endorse Morrison.
So I was sitting right there, and I walked up to him and I said, "Sir, I am here for your seat." And he said to me, because we were actually pretty good friends, "If I had to lose to you, I don't mind." So we battled, and we have that kind of cordial relationship. Now, I am saying that because I want to take you through the journey of what representation really means for this district. He is a good friend, but Goodwood, you knew that you were not being well represented. As a matter of fact, he used to always say he coming back. He used to always give you some excuse about why what you need could not be done. And as a matter of fact, half of the times when you expected to find him, he was not there. For a very short period, after January 2021, I became the assemblyman for the district known as Belle Goodwood, which had a little bit of Mount St. George. Remember? We used to always talk about the little bit of Mount St. George. And then when they recognized that the 6-6 was happening, and after them, who was there for the longest while for the entire year, and let me just stick a pin. For that period during January to December 2021, those on the other side did what they wanted with the Tobago House of Assembly. They do what they want. They are the ones who was giving out letters that say, you get a contract, you get a contract, you get a contract, you get a contract. And those same people who got a contract, they came and they built us for roads that did not even exist. I am telling you, on January 12th, don't forget, the anchor holds. And when we had the 6-6, and our dear good friend, the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, came and recognized that he couldn't bamboozle us when we met down at, what was it? Ravenel's, Magdalena, some one of them down there. Magdalena, yes. He ran and he went to the parliament, and without talking to any Tobagonian, before talking to anybody, he changed the seat from 12 to 15. And it was at that point, when he changed it from 12 to 15, that I had the honor and I had the distinct pleasure of handing this small part that used to be part of my district, handing it over to this lovely lady in front, Miss Megan Morrison.
You respect that?
And I can promise you, Natasha, Charles-Pantin, said it really politely. Let me tell you, she said it really politely. When she spoke about sitting in meetings and Megan talking about what she needs for the district, let me tell all you something. This is executive council business, and we really shouldn't be talking the executive council business, eh? But she does there and there, and she does cuss how we stink. Because she want to know what's going on with she feel. She want to know, I don't even know what the street up in the back of Mount St. George, number 1 Village Street. She wants your number 1 Village Street widened, and she went and she got signatures from every resident on number 1 Village Street saying to them, you may need to give up a piece of your land to widen this road, and they say, yes, we're willing to give up the piece of land. And she coming all the time and saying what we're doing with number 1 Village Street.
You respect that? You respect that?
She had a little stint as the Assistant Secretary in Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. And she did 2 main things. The first thing had to do with the Health Hygiene Lounge. And let me explain what that is. We had come to the understanding that as women sometimes, we have a little bit of hard time getting our menstrual products, because they're kind of expensive. For the men who don't know, them is very, very, very expensive things. Very. And Miss Megan with her team got together and put together the most comprehensive plan that I have actually seen for a product, and brought it.
You respect
and
that?
She said, Dr. Faith, this is what we want. How we getting it? And you see how Natasha says she does afraid sometimes? I did kind of afraid, because we knew it was something that came from her stomach. It's something that came from quite in here, because she understood that women need the support. And by the way, we did not start the project before she moved over to the other division. But as she was exiting the WhatsApp group from my division, she make sure and tag me and said, Dr. Faith, all you make sure and do me room.
You respect that?
And what that shows me, what that shows all of you, I hope, Tobago, you are hearing and you are seeing that Megan Morrison is a woman who genuinely loves the people who she represents. And I hope all of you do not make the mistake of putting somebody else who heaven knows where they came from and what they are capable of doing. Do not make that mistake, because as I said, the anchor holds. We have to ensure that the anchor holds. And the other thing she did, there was a situation where there were some social protection grants that was taking long. And let me tell all you, we actually changed the policy for how them social protection grants work, because she was cussing everybody. Yes, I am saying it big and bold, because what people do not recognize sometimes is that the passion is what comes out. The passion that is within is what comes out. And I want to tell every single one of you who are in the hearing of my voice, every single one of you who are planning to go to the polls on January 12th, the only option is Miss Megan Morrison.
You respect
the
that?
only option. Now I want to segue a little bit to talk about something that is in the air, because I recognize that, you know, when you're doing good, people does always come and try to rile up people to come and talk about the negative things, you know. So as the Secretary with responsibility for health, wellness, and social protection, I want to say to those of you who are working in the healthcare system, to those of you who are working in the healthcare system, ensure that you do not get a little bit a thing dangle in front of you and forget the larger gains that we have been working towards. This Tobago People's Party administration is the administration that when we came in and we saw that you were on month-to-month contracts, we are the ones who turned those into 3-year contracts. Don't forget, the anchor holds. We are the ones who are ensuring that your gratuity is paid. As I said in a meeting in Delaford the other night, the Tobago Regional Health Authority alone, all by itself, last financial year spent $20 million in gratuity, ensuring that Tobagonians get what is due to them. Last week, we said to the nurses, because we are starting with the nurses and we are building out. When I became secretary with responsibility for health, one of the things I recognized, some of the nurses who had been nurses for 15 and 20 years, who had just gotten a promotion, coming to me and they are telling us that to get the promotion, we have to give up our permanency and we have to take contract for 2 and 3 year contracts. And I said at that time, that did not sound fair, that did not make sense. So last week, 320 nurses got letters that said to them, you are now a permanent worker. And by the way, we started with the nurses. But we are going on and on. So I want to say to you, don't get chained up. Don't get wild up. Don't let others tell you what you should be getting and what you shouldn't be getting. We love you and we will take care of you because the anchor holds. And that is why on January 12th, I am saying to each and every one of you, don't get chained up. The only option is the anchor. Say it with me. The only option is the anchor. One more time. The only option is the anchor. Because what? The anchor holds. I thank you.
Give them the anchor. Give them. We go give them the anchor. Give them the anchor. Give them. We go give them the anchor.
Thank you, Dr. Faith Brebnor. All right, Morrison, George Goodwood. Thank you, Dr. Faith Brebnor.
This election,
yes,
will be problems. Protection, cause it's links for all of them.
Let me see you, Morrison, George Goodwood. Let me see you signal your support for your candidate, Morrison. From Bagatelle Park all the way up to Goldsboro Bridge. Let me see you send the signal that the anchor holds in Morrison, George Goodwood. Let me see the signal. It's going to be trouble.
TPP take over.
We're not afraid. Let me see you.
With me voting finger. The time will be over.
Brothers and sisters, you know we have a saying in Tobago, race day is not the day to train horse. We have a proven thoroughbred in Megan Cicely Morrison. And now where are we going to tread somebody who will stay in the stores? Brothers and sisters, you know, one of the things I like about Megan is that I don't know how Megan goes about compiling her database. But there is no one in this electoral district could say that Megan doesn't care. If there is a request for a plumber, Megan say already, I have 5 names. If you want a mason, Megan say already. Megan is always the first out of the starting blocks. No other assemblyman, other member of the Executive Council is quick out of the starting gate than Megan Morrison. None.
Respect that.
Megan is always ready to fight for her people of Mount St. George, Goodwood. Brothers and sisters, tonight, it is my distinct pleasure, daughter of David Friday, deceased, and Jean Morrison Friday, brothers and sisters, Mount St. George, Goodwood, Tobago, welcome Megan Cicely Morrison.
We are a chosen generation. Call for to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me, and I know who I am. We are a chosen generation. We are a chosen generation. Call for to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me. I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. Where He says I'm at. I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. Where He says I'm at. I know who I am. I'm walking in power. I'm walking in miracles. I need a life of favor. 'Cause I know who I am. I'm walking in power. I'm walking in miracles. I need a life of favor. We are a chosen generation. We are a chosen generation.
Good day?
Come on and show His excellence.
Yes, good night, good night, good night. We are a chosen generation. And I know who we are. We are the Tobago's People's Party. The party that will represent this island of Tobago. Now and going forward on January 12th. Don't forget the mission. Let me stand on the already established protocols. And I'm saying good night. Good night, Goodwood. Good night, Mount St. George. Good night, John Dial. Good night, Hope Village. Good night, Bagatelle Park. Tobago is we. Good night to all the online viewers. We remember you. Good night, Ancilla Jack. Before I begin, let me respectfully acknowledge our chairman in our midst. Right? My fellow prospective candidates, I will go on, I will skip the other protocols. I am Megan C. Morrison. I hear a lady calling out my whole government name. Your humble servant. Your worker who never stopped pushing for you. And your prospective TPP candidate, come January 12th, hopefully returning as your area representative for this electoral district of Mount St. George, Goodwood. Let me just highlight a few of my accolades. I have a certificate in practical accounting. I am the holder of an associate degree in hospitality studies, and I am a holder of a master's degree with specialization in marketing.
You respect that. You respect that.
And I stand here before you tonight without any titles, any air, or without any fancy talk.
but with heart and experience, and with a fire in my spirit for this electoral district called Mount St. George Goodwood.
You respect that? You respect that?
As we are in this village of Goodwood, please allow me to highlight most of the stuff done in this village, this community. I would mention the rest, but because I am here tonight, I want to focus a little bit on Goodwood. Mount St. George, Hope, John Dyer, Bagatelle Plaque, please bear with me. Our first town hall meeting was held on this potable ground, right here. The very first town hall meeting, right in the community center, our first roving day was right here on this spot. I don't know if you know what a roving day is. We are all assigned electoral districts. So we call a roving day when you come out from the electoral district and you go into the villages, carrying your forms and all the services that the electoral district offer. So you go to the people from the office. That first one was held here, right here in Cambridge Junction, right on this spot. Right? My first soup kitchen, that is where you cook food and feed people and so on, was held right here in Goodwood at the community center outside. I don't know if Brenzo remember that. Yes, we left the district offices and came out to serve you. We subsequently had 4 other district roaming days in Goodwood. Goodwood alone, right? Let me highlight some facts tonight. After years of darkness, we saw the installation of street lights in Pig Farm Road under my watch. Under my leadership, the Mount St. George Goodwood district witnessed the largest rollout of traffic mirror ever on this island. Till they tell me I have to wait, I can't apply for no more. They have 2 applications still inside pending, right? But the lady tell me my district got the most, so I have to wait. They only have 2 right now, and that is for emergencies. She said I can quote me. I can quote her, sorry. Under my tenure, culture came home to Goodwood. Under my tenure, we had Heritage Festival, Yam Festival, returning to the village of Goodwood.
You respect that? You respect that?
While I'm here on culture, Heritage Festival returned to the village of Mount St. George under my tenure as well, after being dormant for a while. We shared that Heritage Festival with Hope Village because we actually used their community center to facilitate the process, right? We're still on culture. Hope and Groovers, dormant for years, returned under my tenure, and they have made the final 2 times in a row, last year and this year, with my support.
You respect that? You respect that? You respect that? You respect that?
The results are clear. When culture is championed, community rises. The impact of that work is already visible across the electoral district. Because I was an assemblyman, I was a servant of the people. Because this district deserved nothing less. And what pushed me deeper into this work was never politics. It was pain. The pain of others. The pain of seeing firsthand how this district has been neglected for decades. The pain of watching people face social injustice, crying out for help, no one answering that call. Because when a community is denied basic needs, that community is at risk. And for long, Mount St. George Goodwood District has been living under that risk. That is why I advocate the way I do. That is why I push the way I do. And that is why no have never been an acceptable answer for me. I fight for the voiceless because I grew up among them. I know what struggle looks like. I know what lack feels like. And I believe with all my heart that basic human rights are rights, not a favor. And as long as God gives me breath, I will advocate, I will agitate, and I will activate change. Because my mantra always guides me. And that mantra is, listen carefully, my mantra is, I decide to go all the way up. And in the process, take as many persons with me as possible. You respect that. And that is what I firmly believe. These are Pauls that birthed every passion project you have seen in my district. That is what birthed it. From my lavish Christmas celebrations that bring joy into the hearts of our little ones, like loaves of love, because bread represents life, nutrition, dignity. The car meet and fun day. That is where we have car shows and football and boat ride and so on, catering to the youth. That is what they like. In my district, from my district office, we offered sewing classes, partnering with the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. We offer free tour guiding training, bartendering, and culinary arts. That was part of the services that was offered from this district under my tenure. Currently, well, I can't say currently anymore, just before the school term ended, we had CSEC classes being held at my district office. We don't know if it was allowed, but it was done. We also had ICT training to train people to use the technology. Because education is still the greatest passport out of poverty and surest road to opportunities and stability and pride. I haven't spoken about my district market. These fancy ideas were not just fancy ideas, you know. It was to touch the actual need of the people. They were lifelines to the many persons assisted that I haven't spoken about and I will continue not to speak about because those are personal matters, personal issues, and so on. I will continue not to speak of them. We had the power to feed, the power to heal, the power to inspire, the power to restore hope that was slipping away. Don't talk about employment. My colleagues probably found me overbearing. When a division say we would like to have 2 names, trust and believe, Megan got about 4 or 6 names. Believe it. Because I would private message the particular secretary, and I will harass the chief secretary, and I would then, if we had Joel Sampson in the mix, I would put in a 2 names seminar. So I am sure my district benefit the most from employment because of the person who I am. I make no apology for that. I want all to understand something tonight. I was not waiting on signing power, approval, or anybody's permission to help my people. As your area representative, I used the skills I had when the need was real. I moved when the cries came. because service is not seasonal. Compassion is not procedural, and leadership is not position, it's about action. And because Tobago is we. And every time I hear a testimony about how timely that assistance came, it renewed my spirit, it strengthened my resolve, and it confirmed to me that God is leading this mission. My journey is one of faith. From day one, I put my energy into securing that playing field, that court, that community center and pavilion, because Goodwood isn't to be left behind. I advocated, I called, I reminded, until my reminders became alarms. Every meeting, every session, every opportunity, I raised it loudly, as my predecessors implied. Mobilization is now secured, I'm told, and the Goodwood Pavilion will be restarted in short order. I am happy to say that. Yes. But there will be no celebration until it's done. None whatsoever. I hear the hardest part, not from 10 feet away, right here. We had a former representative living right across the street from Grandy Gully. We saw where people struggled to get home, slipped on that trappy bridge, almost losing their lives to get home. And what happened? It took the Division of Infrastructure under Mr. Trevor James to bring some relief to the residents of Grandy Gully. I remember hearing stories of missing material from that project. Bridge purchase, but missing since 2006. Promise made, but never delivered. I reached out to Secretary James. I advocated. I pushed even when they said the money tight. I'm happy to report that you now have Grandy Gully at your disposal. And I add that wall just alongside Grandy Gully where the Smiths live. I remember on one of my first roving days, Mr. Smith brought a letter. He wrote to the Division of Infrastructure how many years before, requesting that that wall be built. I am happy to report that the Division of Infrastructure, no tender, did it in-house and got that wall and that Grandy project completed for the residents of Goodwood. I know some people are not happy with me at the moment because they may not have gotten their desired. And I want to say to you, I hear you. I know that road where the Patricks live, going down to the community center road, is unfinished. It was started by a previous administration, but when they realized the residents in that area don't support them, they stop the road halfway up to where their support is. I will advocate for the completion of that road for you. People, because the work is not finished and the past still haunts us, too many corners of this district are still unfinished, and we hope to finish that in this 2026. Tonight, I am leaving a message of hope. Yeah? I hope that what we have tried to finish will be done in 2026. And that could only come when you support and vote for your candidate come January 12th, 2025. 2026, my apologies. I strongly believe in food security. Anyone who knows me know I have a passion for agriculture. I must invite you to my garden one of these days. And I believe if we can feed our people, Mrs. Pantin, I'm not coming for your job, let me say that. Food security must not be dependent on a job alone. It must begin in our backyards, on our hillsides, in every unused space across the district and the island of Tobago by extension. A kitchen garden is not just a garden. It's an act of freedom. And a shared harvest is an act of love. When you pick by you and offer your neighbor some, that is love. And that is the Tobago we know and love. Because we want to plant together, we grow together. And when we grow together, we rise together. That is the spirit of the movement. And when things look tough, we go to our neighbors and our communities and we say, great is the Tobago's People's Party's representative who will endorse your moves, whether it's agriculture, whether it's housing, whether it's business. We are willing to assist you going forward. Mount St. George Goodwood deserves a leader who understands seasons. Seasons of drought, seasons of planting, seasons of uncertainty, but also seasons of harvest. And let us say this clearly, your season of harvest is coming. With your partnership, your strength, your support, we will cultivate a district that thrives. Real leadership is not about what one person does for themselves. It's about what we grow for each other, because Tobago is we. And in that unity, we are unstoppable. One of the plans I have for my electoral district is to cultivate or enhance or bring to fruition that Studley Park project. It's a Fish Friday kind of project that the entire community will benefit from. I hope with the Division of Tourism and the Division of Community Development, we can build that project to fruition. Yes? We want to name that project in honor of Royal Titus, Tobago's icon, the Royal Titus Heritage Park. With the blessings of my executive council, I hope to bring that project to fruition. So tonight, we recommit, and I recommit myself to you. Tonight, we declare that this district of Mount St. George Goodwood will rise. We will lead in agriculture. We will lead in innovation. We will lead in culture. We will lead in unity. We will build communities that are safe, food secure, and purpose-driven. This district is ready. The people are ready. And together, as one family, one community, and one movement, we will move this district forward in the enhancement of the greatest little island on the planet. So, in order for that to happen, we have one mission. When is the date? January 12th. We go out in our numbers. We take each other. One person, one vote. So no one must be left behind. And we are voting for the anchor. Place your X next to the candidate in your district. The Tobago's People's Party is the only choice come January 12, 2026. We vote for the anchor. Vote TPP. Vote TPP. Vote TPP. I thank you.
Goodwood, we vote in Megan. Strong and steady, yes, she's the slogan. Goodwood chanting, Georgia standing.
spoken. January 12th, it's time for action. So let me see what's the action required.
All you started, lock up the traffic. Let me turn mud into magic.
What is the action required? January 12th, 2026. Let me see if you understand the assignment. Let me see if you understand the assignment. Let me see if you understand the assignment.
Okay, we're backstage side, and I'm here with the potential candidate for Morrison George Goodwood, Miss Megan Morrison. You just had a nice moment on the stage, and I really enjoyed your presentation. I heard you admitting to certain challenges you might have had over the 4 years. What caused this? I mean, I know you have the potential to deliver, but yet delivery has been stymied to some extent. Talk to us.
I am an assistant secretary in a division, and for delivery to happen, you depend on a secretary in another division or even your own division for the execution of certain projects. For example, the field and the pavilion and so on. And apart from the challenges of a secretary having to deliver, we have the factor of financing. So financing have been plaguing us for the last 4 years. As we know, budgetary allocation has been extremely low. And as a result of that, a lot of our projects were not delivered. But I dare say we chose people over projects this time around, because if I have to choose between feeding someone and ensuring that their home needs are met, I would choose food over a building. While all are important, I do acknowledge. But I think this administration chose people over projects because of the limited funding.
Because I admit I was in the room and I witnessed your advocacy, and I also witnessed the deliberate withholding of funds from the THA, which affected every secretary, and by extension we as assistant secretaries felt the brunt of that. Going forward, are you hopeful? Because now we have a larger allocation,
right?
And when the people of Goodwood, Morrison George Goodwood put you back into position, I live with the hope, and I'd like to hear what is your first order of business, given the flexibility, given the resources to do what you'd like to do. What would be your first course of action?
My first course of action, especially for the people of Goodwood, is to have their facilities up and running.
Beautiful.
Right? I know part of the problem with that was because the pavilion was under a Trinidad company, and that wasn't handed over to us until this year. So apart from the funding, we had that challenge of the pavilion not being under our purview. Now that it is, I will strongly advocate for the completion of that, because our young people need their field to play on and to trade, and who knows, the next national sporting athlete may very well come out from this village of Goodwood, on this district in particular. So I'm hopeful.
Well, Megan, and I could call you Megan, I have the confidence that you could do the job. You have done a good job so far, and I think it's the cry of every assemblyman that the shortage of funding has affected us. But I think the people of Goodwood, Morrison George, or is it Morrison George Goodwood?
Morrison George Goodwood.
Right? Could be reassured that they have a worthy candidate, somebody who really cares and who will get the job done. The job is not done, but we're going to get the job done.
It's not done, but
so
I
congratulations.
intend to get the job done. But thank you so much for having me.
Congratulations in advance.
Yes.
But don't get carried away. We had to beat the ground. We had to hit the ground. We had to hit the ground.
Definitely.
And bring it home on the 12th.
We are not taking anything for granted. We are going out there. We are meeting the people, and we are putting in the work.
Congrats. Have a beautiful night. We're going backstage side to continue enjoying our night in Goodwood. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
All right, good.
Take control, say, oh yeah. Blue is the code. Step on the road. Take control, say, oh yeah. Tobago People's Party. TPP. Hey, blue is the code. When
When we step on the road, blue is the code. When we step on the road, blue is the code. Time to take control. Take control. Let me see the sea. We want to see the anchor hole, yeah. Tell them the anchor hole, yeah. The anchor hole, yeah. Tell them the anchor hole, yeah. The uncontrolled, yeah. Tell them the anchor hole, yeah. The anchor hole. Give me that track. Give me that track one time. I hear that they're afraid when they see the blue wave. All I believe they're afraid. It's right now they're not afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Hear what we gonna tell them. Hear what we telling them. Hey, if they can't beat we then join way. Join way. Join way. Tell them if they can't beat we then join way. Join way. Join way. Why? Simply because the anchor hold and we moving steady. Make a clean sweep in every nook and cranny. Yes, the anchor hold. Moving steady. Tobago is we tell your granny and your granny. Hey! It is blue, blue all the way. Yeah. It is blue, blue every day. With a political leader, Farley, Chavez, Augustine. We've been moving mountains. Tobago will stand strong. 60,000 strong blue wave. Yes, it's a blue wave. A blue wave. Anytime now. Give it again. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave and get afraid. Anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave. Hey, Megan, if they can't beat we then join way. Join way. Hey, tell IDA if they can't beat we then join way. Join way. Join way. Why? Simply because the anchor hold and the hem is steady. Make a clean sweep in every nook and cranny. Yes, the anchor hold and we moving steady. Where go is we so go tell somebody today. It's a big time to win. Tell them it's a blue wave. It's a big time to win. Listen, over the mountains, the hills and valleys. It's a big time to win. Make a clean sweep in every nook and crannies. It's a big time. Now we see the wave. It's a blue wave. Let me hear you. It's a blue wave. Tobago is way. Tobago is way. I love your TPP family. Is way.
TPP! TPP! Wave your flag, wave your flag!
Time to win, anytime now. Them I go see the blue wave.
Tomorrow night, the blue wave moves to Backhill Wim in support of the candidate, Ricky Joe Field. So tomorrow night, we are in Wim supporting the candidate, Ricky Joe Field. We know it's a bit late, but we're moving to where the air is rare. I want to bring on man from country, representative, assemblyman for Parlatuvier, Lansom is Speyside.
You respect that? You respect that?
And the next Chief Secretary of Tobago. Let's welcome the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine.
It is nature's way until judgment day. Weakness ain't got a chance. Playing strong cause I realize the price little one must pay to keep the big one in paradise. It's torment and misery all day. Destruction of the weak is nature's plan. The humble and the meek must understand. This day of the strong man is the devil's heyday. So they will right the ground when the master plays.
Goodwood, good night. Are you ready for a good word tonight? Goodwood, Goodwood, good night. TPP family, good night. Allow me to acknowledge the chairman of the party, Miss Second, who is here. Allow me to big up the ever beautiful area representative, Miss Megan C. Morris, who will become and continue to be the area rep for Monk St. George Goodwood. Let me say thanks to all the other candidates who are out here tonight. And of course, most importantly, all of you who are here from Goodwood, from Monk St. George, from the little piece that goes, bro, from Hope, from John Dial. We home by you, Sister Bernie and crew. We want to thank all of you for being out this evening, and those of you who journeyed with us from Bagatelle to this point. Tonight, I'm aware it's already 10:29, and this is a party that believes in productivity. We just work long hours every single day. And so, yes, I'll make it short and to the point. And there are two very important issues I wish to address that are bigger and beyond this electoral district. And I know you have heard tonight about what we did in Majuba Trace and other parts of the district, and also what Miss Morrison did as an area rep. You see, you have to understand, when an area rep coming and organizing and ensure that there is food security, that there are books available for children to return to school and so on, you must understand that the THA does not give the area rep money, so that is the area rep either digging in their own pocket, becoming creative, finding ways, writing letters to get sponsors and all sorts of stuff to assist you. And that means your area rep is doing her job in ensuring that she provides for your needs. And we must thank her for that. So as I said, there are 2 or 3 major issues. I hope that tonight I have my very good friends from Tobago Updates listening and CNC3 listening, because I know you wanted to get an interview earlier this evening at Bagatelle, and I said to you, I will address the issues from the platform. This is election time. All issues I'm addressing from the platform. Because I want, when I address it, or address them, I want everybody at the same time to hear exactly what I am saying, and that nobody has an opportunity to squeeze out piece and change a headline to sell a paper. So I want to be very clear tonight on some issues. But before I go to those 2 macro issues that I believe requires addressing, I must address an issue in the space because it affects the representation of Miss Morrison. It affects my own representation. It affects the representation of Mrs. Pantin. Also up there in WIM. And it's a question of some UDCOT projects that are incomplete. If you listen to the PNM and you see they belong to a house of lies, because they are, let me say that, but they belong to a house of lies. And deception is what they are excellent at. And I want you to understand and appreciate how they
normalize their hypocrisy. Because not so long ago, they tried their best to send police because there has some audio tape where I say that we have to ensure we take care of the people who share the propaganda, the message of this party. And I listened to that same PNM party, to Marvin Gonzalez, whatever his name is, talking about all PNMites must be propagandists because that's what Eric Williams said they must be. So it's okay for all PNMites to be propagandists for their message, but it's not okay for those of us who are right-thinking, who believe in Tobago, who stands up for Tobago, who fights for Tobago, to actually become propagandists for this island of Tobago. But we will not shift from that position because Tobago is we. And if they can become propagandists to their party, we will become propagandists for the island of Tobago because Tobago is we. This bigger than a political party. This bigger than leadership and who I am. This is about Tobago today, Tobago tomorrow, and Tobago long after Farley have left the political stage. And so I want to clear some things up about Udicott. And I want to take my time. Tobago House of Assembly engaged Udicott in a series of contracts to build some facilities for the THA. Because the THA, you know, when PNM in office, they're sending the money trickle. We had PNM in Tobago and PNM in Trinidad, and not one of them did dare tell Rowley send me money on time. Right? They couldn't. And so the money coming trickle. The THA engaged the project management firm called Udicott. Udicott will build ahead of the THA's ability to spend, and the THA on the back end will come and pay every fiscal year, quarterly, towards Udicott. The election came and happened in December 2021. When the election was completed, we inherited some incomplete projects. After we inherited those incomplete projects, we continued to pay on those projects. As a matter of fact, the last payment from the THA to Udicott went about October of 2022. And then we were having a meeting. Mr. Clark there, Secretary Clark, he was then Assistant Secretary. The Secretary for the division was then Baines. We had Anselm Richards there as the Chief Financial Advisor in the THA. And the CEO of Udicott shows up to Tobago, and she says to us, Udicott has taken a decision, we will abandon all of your project. As a matter of fact, Udicott, without any notice, without any warning, without any conversation, unilaterally decided that they will abandon the project. So when you see those projects incomplete, I want you to remind them that the line minister for Udicott was the then Prime Minister Keith Christopher Rowley. And if he had Tobago interest at heart, there is no way Udicott could show up on Tobago's doorstep and say, all of a sudden, we're not doing your project anymore. We're done. After they decided that, we say, well, okay, give away projects. Hand them over to us. What does that mean? Remember, they have the project design. They have a contract with companies, with contracting firms. They already know how much they pay, which contractor, how much they're owing, and all of that. So we say, hand over everything to us, and we will continue the projects ourselves. Because if it's one thing I learned, is that there is nothing wrong in being biggish in managing your own affairs. Because when I give other people their business to mind, they just throw it back gear, and they just embarrass you. That's what Udicott did to us. So I said, let me mind my business and complete our projects ourselves. It took Udicott close to a year to hand over those projects. It got to a point where I said to the THA, don't pay Udicott another red cent. Don't pay them a next cent. And I know they have bills to us, and if you're listening, Udicott, know that I am not paying in another red cent. You breached the contract. You walked out on the contract. So I'm giving you not another red cent on those projects. Because we will spend the money and complete the projects ourselves. After we finally got the documents from them, it is now to remobilize. We have something called OPR. We can't just get up and say, you take a contract, you take a contract. Steps have to be followed. And once it exceeds $1 million, that's a whole nother line of step. Including after arriving at a decision on who to give the contract to, it must then be re-evaluated because a committee has to be set up to make sure all the steps were followed accurately. So when all of them talking about, give me contract, give this one contract, don't give this one, give me an, that's not how the thing does work. It no longer works like that. Maybe in Orville time you could have handpick. In Hochoy time you could have handpick. Probably in Kelvin's early time you could have handpick. But since we came into office, the law was proclaimed. And therefore it is the law of the land. So we got all of that organized to the point where we now resume work on those projects. That includes the pavilion at the playing field. That includes the community center and pavilion in Charleville. As a matter of fact, for that community center and pavilion in Charleville, when we were ready to mobilize to resume the contract, you know what happened? A lawyer letter came and it says, we were never paid for the design for this facility. Don't use our design unless you pay us. So now we have to go through a legal rigmarole to pay them for the design and then resume the actual project. So let nobody make you feel as though this party is so bad mind that because P&M start a project, we will not finish it. As a matter of fact, things that P&M start, we finish better than they could ever finish. Things that they build badly, we fix them up better than they could ever build them in the first place. Because we understand that governance must include some continuity. It's not about them versus us. Once election day done, blue and red done, it's about Tobago and Tobago only. And it's about completing work for the people of Tobago. So it's not a bad mind why them projects ain't done. It's not certainly bad mind from our end. But that was bad mind from central government end, where they were in charge that stalled those projects. Because here's what they thought. They thought that by putting us in a bind and the projects being incomplete, they would have still win the 2 Tobago seats. And I live to see the 2 cabinet members who supported that decision get kicked to hell out of governance. Let us stay home and sit down and watch the politics go on. Their political careers are dead because God don't like bad mind. God don't like bad mind. So I needed to address that first. Secondly, I'm showing you how they are deceptive. So by the end of the Bagatelle meeting, somebody is drawing to my attention that the Cabo Star won't be here effective January 12th. And somebody's sending me an epistle written by another politician who dead but over lie down, right? Trying to suggest that something nefarious happened why the boat won't be there. But I want to refresh Tobagonians' mind. It was on June the 11th, 2025, where yours truly as Chief Secretary had the minister with responsibility for the boat, Miss Jerlene John. She came to my office. In that meeting, we had the head of the port, head of the Inter-Island Ferry Service, we had the head of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Williams, we had the representatives of the Tobago Tourism and Hospitality Association, we had people from the Truckers Association, supermarkets. We had the stakeholders represented in that meeting. First lie they're trying to tell right now is that somehow we were keeping it a secret that the Cabo Star won't be here. Since June the 11th, we said to the stakeholders, it was said in my presence, that the contract for the Cabo Star will come to an end in this January. And when it comes to an end, there has to be a tender process in accordance with OPR to either 1, re-engage, or 2, engage somebody new. So it was never a secret. Nobody ain't trying to hide. There was no mystery behind the election date being the 12th and the Cabo Star not being here as of the 12th. No mystery in that. That is not how we just pick election date. We just go down on our knees and pray and fast. And when God says, this is the date, that is how we just pick. We don't go by Obia man for dates. We don't try to look at when both end here to get dates. We don't try to throw up thing in the air and hope to get a date. The Most High does guide every single step of the way, because I am one man whose steps are ordered by the Lord, not by whoever they just go by. So they are not afraid about that and date. And it don't matter whether the date is January 12th or whether it was all the way down to February the 12th. Either way, they will get a tail cut in this election. And so the first deception they started with tonight is that it was somehow a mystery and a secret. The stakeholders were told since June that the contract for the Carbo Star will end this January. The second deception they're trying to put in the space is that somehow it's going to end and the Carbo Star sold, and nobody said the Carbo Star will sell. Well, I didn't even know the Carbo Star sell, because the last time I checked, the Carbo Star is not a publicly owned boat. It's a privately owned boat. And if they want to sell the boat, they don't need to inform me they're selling the boat. It's them boat. So if they want to sell it, it's their business. If they sell the boat, that has nothing to do with the THA. That has nothing to do with the government. The THA in no way is a part of any sales agreement in any Carbo Star. So if the owner sell the boat, that is the owner's business. Nothing to do with us. The third deception they try to bring about this same issue is that somehow or the other, no preparation was made. No preparation at all was made, sorry. And in that meeting on June 11th, I called a member from the Hospitality and Tourism Association. I said, you remember that meeting? I said, tell me how that meeting go. Because I started to wonder if maybe I dreamt something. And in that meeting, the stakeholders were asked, what would your ideal boat look like? What do you need for a boat? And the stakeholders themselves said, while the Carbo Star can be efficient, it is not the best boat. And they gave some reasons why they will want a boat that will provide for some other scopes or specs that the Carbo Star just cannot provide at this time. And what would those include? Number one, they said the Carbo Star is a very man-man boat. You could barely get something to eat and drink there. You could barely get a comfortable seat there. So you know, they said they want a ferry that would provide for hospitality, proper hospitality. The first thing they said. The second thing they said, look, the Carbo Star must have about 5 cabins. And from the 5 cabins, 3 of them is to staff. And they have to share the rest of cabins. So they said they would like to see more cabins, because as truckers, they drive for long hours, they drive long distances. In fact, in some countries, there are rules, there are laws about how long you could drive, the hours you're driving, how much rest you must have, and that must be worked into your contract. But you know, it's Trinidad and Tobago, and sometimes it's a kicksy country. We might be behind on those kinds of laws and regulations. So they said, let the Carbo Star have more, let the cargo boat, then it should have more cabins. The third thing they said about the boat that they wanted, they said, look, once upon a time, Tobagonians used to be able to go to Trinidad, do business, and not have to take more than a day from work. So they were saying, if the Carbo Star has more cabins, the Carbo Star could accommodate a little bit more cars as well as the cargo, then some persons could take the option of taking the cargo boat late in the night, get into Port of Spain 4-day morning, as we say, get your business done, and catch the fast ferry back to Tobago, and you miss only 1 day of work. And we used to do that during Panorama days? Is that unreasonable for the stakeholders to ask? So the stakeholders, not me, the stakeholders watch NITCO, watch the Port Authority people, watch the Inter-Island Ferry people, watch Johnny Face, and they told her what they want. So it's not no secret. And then, when you hear them tonight as though somebody was being deceived, nothing was being planned, I don't know where they got that information from. The stakeholders in Tobago were told. The stakeholders in Tobago say what kind of boat they want. The stakeholders in Tobago sat and told the minister themselves, so it didn't come through no middleman or not through any chief sec. They told them themselves. The stakeholders were very clear in some of the attributes they will want from a new cargo boat. And so, when I saw the hoopla I called Minister Jerlyn John. So she answered the phone and I said, Minister, she said, yes, Chief Sec. I said, listen, you have something troubling my spirit. I know when things troubling with Tobago and spirit, we just be tempted to use words that people might not be proud of. I said, I want to know what's going on with this boat because we met since in June. And in June, the stakeholders told us what they wanted. We all knew the boat was going in January and that you had to go out to get something working. She said, Chief Secretary, we already went out. We have evaluation team that returned from Spain and Greece last week. And I am going to cabinet this Thursday to present to the cabinet the option that those that did the evaluation said we should go with. She even said to me, right now we're exploring an option for a vessel that will have as much as 100 cabins because we listen to your stakeholders. So you see, when PNM want to deceive people, they'll take a thing, twist it, spin it all how, repeat it and hope that the lies stick. And I'm telling you in this election, do not be deceived. So that is how the cargo boat, Carbo Star story actually went. Nobody didn't just try to hide the boat going away. Nobody just say we're not renewing a contract. A conversation was had with the stakeholders on June 11, 2025, right in my office. I will pull the photos from that engagement. I will pull the video clips from that engagement, and I will post it again because maybe they weren't looking. Maybe they did not see. But we had those conversations with the stakeholders right in Tobago who actually said to the minister, this is what we want. Go and find a boat that can reflect what we actually want. Now, granted, I don't know the details of the type of boat and how the boat will operate and cost a boat because I'm not in cabinet. So I expect cabinet to make those decisions and that we will be duly informed. And I very much expect that Ms. John must have a transitioning plan, a plan to transition from the Carbo Star to whatever other arrangement we will have. More than that, in July when the cargo boat went on dry dock, it's probably the first time the cargo boat went on dry dock without a lot of bacchanal and confusion in the space and a lot of talk in the space, because the first time a government sat down and put proper measures in place to treat with the removal of the cargo boat and to ensure Tobago continue to have stocks and supplies. And that happened because the minister came to Tobago and sat with the stakeholders and had that conversation. Similarly, the conversation was had about the cargo boat, the Carbo Star going away. It's not new information. So I don't know if they're trying to find a got you moment because the campaign running flat. They're hoping to get a Philip to run on. They're hoping to find a catalyst. They're hoping to find something. But I wanted to tell them if I want a better campaign, find a better leader and find better candidates and then come again. But in this election, you ain't ready yet. The only political organization that is prepared and ready to continue governing the people of Tobago with integrity and will cause progress to happen on this island is the Tobago People's Party. None other. And the third deception I want to talk about tonight, so I'll talk about the boat. The third deception I want to talk about tonight is this radar issue. Because they hope that they could talk radar, and Tobagonians go vote for them. They don't know the only radar we're interested in is the Holy Spirit, which is here, there, and everywhere at the same time. We ain't on them on that. But I want to address it. Because, and what is absolutely strange is that what they dish out to me, they're somehow assuming the same measure of disrespect is being dished out right now. You see, as a PNM is operator, they just think that everybody else behave like them. So when they say they accuse you of something, know that is something that PNM does do. Anytime they point a finger at you, know that PNM does do that tenfold. And they're just thinking you're doing the same thing like them. But I want to talk about this radar issue. The radar, I hope the media realize I didn't say that. But you could carry it if you want, because there might be some truth in that. When this raider came on the scene in Tobago, the first conversation I had with the government, came after this thing started developing in the public space. Now, as Chief Secretary, I have been to the new airport a total of, I've been to the new building a total of 5 times. The first time I went there was with airport authority, at discounting when they opened the so-called airport, right? So let me discount that, right? We want to put that piece of disrespect behind us. The first time since this government change I went there was with airport authority. And I got the first tour of that facility. The first tour, because the first time around, the announcer said on the stage, the Prime Minister will take a tour now, and then afterwards, the Chief Secretary and his team will be invited. And I said to myself, I said, Farley, you look a black boy from Speyside. If you ain't good enough to walk airport with Prime Minister, you're not good enough to walk it alone. I get up, I dust my bamsi, and I go in my car and I go home. I went home. So, and I know they can't deny that. Because if you go and you review the tapes, you will hear the actual announcer saying, Prime Minister, you and your cabinet could go now and tour. The Chief Secretary will come sometime after. 10 minutes after. So you bring in an airport to the people of Tobago, and you can't even be man enough. You can't even be mature in the politics enough to walk with the Chief Secretary, who politically you may not like, to symbolically hand this over to the people of Tobago. And by comparison, when Kamala built that hospital up at Signal Hill, she came and she invited the Orville London, who was on political odds with her, to walk with her, and she handed it over to him. In fact, both of them name on the plaque. You see who for you and who against you. And so I went there with Airport Authority earlier this year. Then I had a tour with NITCO. Now, Airport Authority will become the managing agency. NITCO, they are the project managers. The project is still in their hands because the project is incomplete. So they're still billing. So I tour with NITCO. And then I had a meeting with NITCO. NITCO came and said, look, we had to do a road. And you hear me talking about this road over and over again. Because from day one, we keep saying to them, all we have access to are the lands going through Friendship. We have to have access to some lands behind Apex, behind Ravenels, because Torbay Local Road is too narrow, and we have to do another carriageway to the airport. So perhaps we could create a nice big roundabout. One way going west to the airport, one way coming east from Gatskin Bay Road. So NITCO came, and NITCO said, look, we have a proposal. The Airport Authority already owns some of the land. And we have an area that we think a road could build, coming around and behind Ravenels. But we have 2 options. Either we come out down by Kilgreen Bay and we replace that bridge, that very small, short bridge by Kilgreen Bay at the very end of the runway where there's a gate now. Or we buy some land just behind Apex and we push the road through there to connect to our new road. I said, all right, they give me a little mock-up. And I went on the airport, and they showed me what they meant. That was the 3rd time I went on the airport. And after that 3rd time, I started hearing this talk about radar and U.S. people building things in Tobago. Then the Prime Minister in an announcement said, look, the U.S. Army is going to help us with some civil works to build roads and so on. I said, all right. That ain't strange to me. I come from Speyside right now. We have 2 bridges in Speyside. When you go there, it has plaques on it that says it was built by the United States government. So it's not new to the space. I remember in primary school, and the U.S. Army men in tents, in some brown desert color tents, on the playing field. And our children will go across there and interact with them while they're building this bridge. Because before it was a Bailey Bridge going into Lucivale, right by the high school for years. and it was another Bailey bridge to go Blue Waters in right before the water wheel. So I say, all right. I thought, in my mind, I said, okay, I thought the Prime Minister was going to let Airport Authority or the THA go to tender, get a contract and build the road. I said, if we get in the help to build the road, that is fine. So that's the third time I went there. Eventually, Prime Minister said, look, she admitted to the nation that she withheld some information. And she withheld it because she felt the security considerations required her to withhold that information. She came and said she withheld the information. That is the Prime Minister's judgment call as head of cabinet, as head of the National Security Council, is not mine. She made that. If I was Prime Minister, I might have taken a different approach altogether, but I am not Prime Minister. And correct. And she's not running Tobago, I am running Tobago. She running Trinidad and Tobago and has responsibility for some things for national security. Now, so the Prime Minister said that, and then we learned, the Prime Minister said that, and then we learned radar coming. I then asked the Prime Minister, I said, look, Prime Minister, I need some detail about this radar. Because in my mind, and I want you to follow me closely, because in my mind, a radar not supposed to build in Tobago and you do have a conversation with the Chief Secretary. And for me, whether you be Kamla or you be Rowley, something like that happening, I need you to correct that decision. Now, let me be clear. You see, if there's a difference between when I could take up the phone and call somebody, and the moment I cannot take up the phone and make that call to the Prime Minister, I am taking up the microphone. You see, in the past, when I couldn't take up the phone and call who was there, I would take up the microphone and speak through the microphone publicly and embarrass them into action. But you see, once I could take this up and make a call and get a response, I would continue to use this. And that's a difference, and that shows respect from disrespect. So I picked up the phone, I called, I said, Madam Prime Minister. I said, Madam Prime Minister, this thing is in this space. This thing is in this space, and I need some information. I have a population of 60,000 plus who are asking me questions, and I don't know what to tell them. She said, okay, I will send up the Minister of Defense and the Attorney General to give you a briefing. Hold on. I said, okay, this was Friday. She admitted that it's already on Thursday evening. On Friday morning, we spoke. And I said to her, send them Monday morning. I got called on Saturday to say, they're coming today, Saturday. I say, Lord God, when I did resting on my Sabbath, you're calling me out to discuss this radar thing. But I said, you know what? When in leadership, if your ass is in the pit on a Sabbath, you have to go and take it out. And I said, my people require me to take certain steps on their behalf as leader. I am going to figure out what this is. So they came, they briefed me. I can tell you now, there are some things they share there that perhaps I cannot share publicly. But they shared sufficient information at that point that made me think having a radar on the island may not be a bad idea. May not be a bad idea. And I'm going somewhere with this. That same evening, the meeting ended. We had a meeting and a press conference. We ended perhaps sometime after 6, maybe 7. So by this time, it's nightfall. Because I pushed the meeting to as far to the edges of the Sabbath as I could push it. The meeting started around 5:30-ish. I said, listen, I need to see this place. But by the time we drove down to the airport area, and this is now what, the 4th time. By the time I drove down to the airport area, it was dark. There's a giant wall up in the air. I couldn't really see behind it. I said, where is this thing, boy? I said, anyway, I appreciated the effort. And then for the 5th visit so that's my 4th time. For the 5th visit, the Charge d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy came to Tobago for Tobago Day. And to show you how Tobago is a place of love. In the same function in the same row, we had the Charles-Pantin Affairs of the U.S. Embassy, which is the head diplomat from the United States government in Trinidad and Tobago. And we had the Venezuelan ambassador sitting in the same row at Tobago Day Awards. That shows the kind of respect that the world has for Tobago and people have for the space called Tobago and for the leadership of yours truly, Farley Chavez Augustine. And so the day after Tobago Day, we met at my office, the Charles-Pantin Affair, and then I said to her, look, the tour I had was not sufficient. I want to see this thing in daylight. Because I grew up among old people, and they like to warn you about not taking bully fay to find things in night that you're supposed to see in the day. So I said, I want a daytime tour. They said, okay, not a problem at all. In fact, I didn't even raise an objection. I went down to the airport at 3:30 on the 5th of December, the day after Tobago Day, and got a tour of the inside of the facility. The Marines took me through the facility. As a matter of fact, I was underwhelmed because on one hand, there is the radar that you might have seen a photo of, and the other equipment there is meant to do geofencing of the airport area. Geofencing simply means that you can't just send up a drone without authority in the space. Now, let me be clear. That has always been a part of airport operations in Tobago and anywhere in the world. Because you can't even fly kites in the area. They don't want people to be able to send up drones, send up automated aircraft in the air anytime an aircraft is in the space. So you have to be able to control that through what is called geofencing. That is basic for airports anyway. I said, fine. I asked them another question. I said, listen, in the same way giving me a tour, I have plenty bright young people on this island who into what we call STEM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. I say, I want some of our bright young people to get the same tour. You know what they said? Not a problem, we'll make it available. Your office coordinate, tell us, and we'll give the school children a tour if they want a tour. Because the facility is not meant to harm anybody. The facility is meant to give information. I also said to the Charles-Pantin Affairs, I said, look, I also want and prefer that the people of Trinidad and Tobago operate this equipment. I prefer our army people, the defense force as they call them, be the ones trained to operate and collect the data. I said that to them. I said, where is the knowledge transfer? And I said, if when you finish here, this is temporary, and you're going to take this up and go, can't you leave it for the people of Trinidad and Tobago so that we could operate it, or at least show us how to acquire one of our own and train our people? We're living in 2025. We're living in an age where all kind of technology flying above our heads. Things that me and you ain't see. Drones can actually be used to kill people and to fight wars. That's the world we're living now. And if all we're doing is arming our defense force with cutlass, then we're wasting time. Because what they have now is equivalent to cutlass. Go up Council Island and see what they have. And we have to do better at managing our space. And that was the 5th time I went there. So I gave you the full, in chronological order, my visits to the airport, when I knew of the radar, what I know of the radar, and how I interacted with the parties involved with this radar. Now, yesterday, I am in the north side. Let us be real. Most of my time right now is to be outside. So if I sign the files early in the morning, I go in my area and looking to walk. Because I know how to walk my area. I have to go and walk down with Keegan in Boko. I have to go and walk with them in Plymouth. I have to walk in Bethesda. I have to walk in Goodwood. I have to walk with everybody. But I have to walk by me too. So I am outside on the field, and the chief sends a communication. He said, look, Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs sent this information to your office. In other words, they wrote the office and they said, we're putting out this press release. We have authorized aircraft belonging to the U.S. to utilize our airports, both airports. And somehow that has gotten people in a frenzy again. And so I want to reiterate not just my position, but the position of Tobagonians as I speak to them on the street. Because just this evening, I had a very spirited conversation with some young men in Castara. And you may think that sometimes the young men you see on the block there, or you might see hanging out by the beach, that they're not smart, but they're extremely smart. And there are two questions they ask that reaffirms in my mind that our position of neutrality is the best position to take. The first question is, if something really pop off and United States win, where is our position? And then the next question is, if something pop off and Venezuela wins, where is our position? And then I said, oh, so now you understand why Tobago and Tobagonians have adopted the position that one, we not part of any war. Two, our people not fighting any war. Three, no war is being fought from Tobago. So you ain't looking to shoot down nobody from Tobago soil or Tobago waters. Four, that we not picking any team in any race. Americans pick Trump, that is American Trump business. If Venezuelans want to pick Maduro, that is Venezuela and Maduro business. I know come January 12th, Tobago will pick Farley, Chavez, Augustine, and the TPP, and that is our business, because Tobago is we, and we are going to continue to mind our business.
You respect that. You respect that.
So, I don't want you to get it twisted, and I'm trying to put words in my mouth and hope that I will say, I have adopted a position of neutrality. We're not supporting any war. As a matter of fact, it was their former political leader, Patrick Manning, who said that who famously said when he picks up the phone, whoever answers the call on the other line, that is who he will do business with. And that is perhaps a very wise position to take. So whoever answers the phone when we call US or Venezuela, that is who we'll do business with. But as for now, as for Tobago, as for the 60,000 of us, we ain't in no war. We ain't supporting no war. We ain't fighting no war. Tobago is not going to be used to fight war against anybody.
You respect that. You respect that.
And to the Prime Minister's credit, she has also said that. She has also said that Trinidad and Tobago soil and waters that is not going to be used to wage war against anybody else. And I want to show you how the fear-mongering does not make sense. The United States have a ship with more capabilities, more technological capabilities than the whole of Tobago combined. As a matter of fact, the US, with that ship, they don't even need to come in Trinidad and Tobago waters. They could just stay in international waters and do whatever they want to do against whoever they want to do. They don't need us to do that. And so even last night when a member of the media asked me, do you think Tobago will be affected if there is war? And I said, but think about it. The whole Eastern Caribbean, the Southern Caribbean, all of us will be affected. It's not like it's a Tobago alone thing. All of us will be affected. So I don't understand this need for fear-mongering and hoping somehow that it will cause them to get a win. It's really an act of deceit that they're on and hoping to rile up your fear. But you can never make a sound judgment out of the emotion of fear. And the only thing we fear here is the Almighty God. We must make judgments with a sound mind, clear head, clear vision. Not out of fear, with logics. So the US does not need 116 square miles to fight Venezuela. They could do that on their own from international waters. They don't need us to do that. So there's not even a need for Tobago to be in their business. It is just not our business. Now, the matter of the radar itself, I see all the old fire stick and them trying to come back together. But you see, all of them were in cahoots before. All of them were involved in corruption before. All of them thief out Tobago money before. All of them wrecked the island before. So it's easy for them to come together. And then asking me to sign. My scripture asks me one question of what business does light have with darkness? So let them in darkness go and sign the thing by themselves. I will stand on the side of light. We blue, we light, we are prepared, we brave to stand on behalf of the people of Tobago. Light has no business with darkness. Leave me out of that. And as I said before, the day I can't pick up the phone and get a response, that is only when I start picking up the microphone and talk loudly. But as of right now, when I pick up the phone, I get a response. And I can tell you that it's 10 times better than the relationship I've had with any previous prime minister.
You respect that. You respect that.
Now I want to say something else. And I want you Tobagonians to look at this. The real truth is we have a problem with narcotics and illegal firearms. Whether we want to admit it or not, our paradise is disturbed from time to time because of it. We had 24 murders last year, and almost every one of them was related to gang warfare, to drugs. What we know about 6 and 7 Tobago is weed, not 6 and 7. What we know about gang, that was never Tobago business. And this is an opportune time for me to call on our young people to jump out of them gang. You're not 6, you're not 7, you're not any of those. You are Tobagonian only. And we love you as a Tobagonian. You don't need a number. All you need is your Tobagonian birthright. And we will honor that. That's it. That is it. That is all. And so I say it to you tonight, young people, leave them gang story. It was February this year, a young man known to the police, arrested by the police before, probably out on bail. You know, he get locked up, quiet in Barbados, carrying drugs. If we were so innocent, how our people reach there? If we're so innocent, how our people reaching Grenada and carry a coup to rob a whole bank? How we reach there? Using the same fishing boats that we have, fishing for other things except fishing the sea. And I'm saying, let us not bury our heads in the sand. There is a problem. But you have to also ask yourself another question. If we had raiders on the island, I'm advised we actually had 2 before. I wouldn't say where they're located, but we had 2 before. If we had raiders on the island before, how come a whole boat capsized with oil and nobody ain't see it till fishermen go out to sea the next day? How come? How come? How come? And I want to warn you, because in this country, there is an organized cartel that might just be bigger than the politics. So if you see me come here with security, don't feel alarmed. Me and get stush. There might just be an organized cartel in this country that's so bigger than the politics that they don't want anything to work that will stop crime from happening. There are people in this country who are profiting from drugs and guns. Because let me be real, the poor little black boys sitting on the block out there in Goodwood right now, them can't afford no multi-million-dollar drugs to bring in here. It's somebody else paying for that, and somebody else profiting off of the blood of our young people. But the blood must stop running Tobago. We don't want nothing red run on this island. It's blue, 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 and blue only.
You respect that?
No blood in this island whatsoever. We rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Not in this island. Not here at all. And part of protecting our young people means that as a country, we have to take some radical steps to stomp out corruption, stomp out drug dealing, stomp out the effortlessness with which guns are being traded on our streets. We don't manufacture guns here. You know, we had a former prime minister walking up and down the Caribbean talking about is a health crisis, a health pandemic. It's a crisis of leadership as well, because we have not taken the necessary steps to stop what has to be stopped. And mind you, nobody is more fiercely anti-colonial than me. Nobody. Because I have said things publicly against our old colonial masters that they will condemn and that they think were wrong to say. And I could tell you now, as Chief Secretary, I'm invited every year to what? The King's birthday is one event I don't go. Come here and celebrate no king except the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I don't go. Period.
You respect that? You respect that?
I will have good relationships with any country, But I don't support any neo-colonial approach to this island. And I want to tell you that the neo-colonials we have to watch is not just them from US, it's not just them from outside of the country, but it has some that has come from Port of Spain. Ever so often I want to run this island, not under my watch. Tobago is we. We are Tobago. Stay out of our business. And that must be clear and precise. Clear and precise. And so I want to tell you in this election, this is not one for you to be deceived. This is not one for you to be fooled. You have to think about these things logically. Think about these things logically. A radar not going to cause radiation to give you cancer. The radar itself cannot shoot down anything. The radar itself will just bring data. The question that we really should be asking, the question the media should be asking, and perhaps I should change profession and help them do their work. The question the media should be asking is who is collecting the data? What they're doing with the data? How will the data be used? Those are the questions to be asked. Not about whether or not there should be a radar. And then when I search, just search Google, you will see that the same US set up radar in Trinidad before now. It's not even the first time the US setting up a radar in Trinidad and Tobago. It's not even the first. And so let's not fearmonger the thing. Let us act logically about this issue. And I want to be clear. The Prime Minister, in her authority in law, and the cabinet, they set the policy on national security issues, not the Tobago House of Assembly. And what is interesting, not so long ago, we had Kelvin Morris, we had Anthony James, flip-flopping James, saying we should have just accept the bill, we'd have get more money. But I want to tell you something. In 2016, when Tobago, through Orville London, sent those bills down to Trinidad, you know what people don't realize? Those bills had something in it called concurrence. And that if passed as they were, would have required the central government to consult in advance with the Tobago House of Assembly on matters of national security and international relations once it relates to the island of Tobago. Raul and them take it out of the bill and was handing you that bill and say, take it, you'll get more money. And when I say the bills they have before Parliament are improper, they're improperly written and we should not support them, Anthony James and Kelvin say support it, take it as it is. And then they're coming back now to say, well, why are you not included? Well, I'm not included because the Lord does not include me. And that's why I made it clear on the night of the launch, and I projected it publicly to the Prime Minister, that after January 12th, when we are redoing the bills, there must be in those bills an effort to allow for concurrence on matters of national security and international relations once it concerns the people of Tobago. We had instances, and I shared it with you, Rowley, when Barbados signed deal with me and Motley about oil and gas. What part of Trinidad waters close to Barbados? It's Tobago waters that close to Barbados. And I ain't see a chief secretary in the room. I ain't see a chief secretary consulted. I ain't hear no chief secretary say, Rowley send me the document before for me to vet it, for me to read it. They accepted it. He spit and they just open them out and swallow it. And I'm saying, if that practice that predates Kamla Pasabi Sessa has to change, we have to change the law. We have to change the law and have proper laws governing the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago.
You respect that?
Because I believe firmly that if it's a matter that concerns our 116 square miles, that concerns the exclusive economic zone around Tobago and the territorial waters that are attached to Tobago, that the people of Tobago should be consulted through their leader. Now, everything may not be good to talk publicly, because on matters of security, some things you just have to treat with confidentiality. But I believe the leader of the island should be consulted, should be part of it, regardless of who is in point Trinidad. And I'm saying that this election is also about voting for a party who will ensure that we have proper bills before the houses of parliament that will accord unto the people of Tobago the authority, the right to be consulted on these matters before a decision is made. PNM did not do it. For the 21 years and all that they proposed, they did not pass it. But I will end by sharing with you a piece of political history. It will appear that the only time Tobago gets movement on anything to do with Tobago autonomy is when Tobago votes against PNM. We have never gotten it at any point in time when Tobago voted PNM in Tobago and PNM in Trinidad. Those are the facts. When we had the first THA, Act 37 in 1980, Tobago voted DAC and sent 2 people down, make Eric Williams vex. Certain all them couldn't get a pay. My father couldn't get a pay. To this day, my father don't like nothing red. Not even red mango. Because he can't forgive them for that. He can't forgive them for that. Right? Because he experienced that as a young man in Tobago, punished for it. Tobago voted DSC. And after the bills were carried to the parliament and the Simongal committee was set up and the Simongal draft was done, all of Simongal was PNM. The same Eric Williams said, there's too much power for you. Cut it down, cut it back. Meanwhile, PNM and Tobago was saying, just give it county council. We don't want no autonomy. Just make we like a regular borough in Trinidad. Borough nothing. Tobago deserves a proper government that will govern the island of Tobago with some autonomy and authority. This is no borough corporation. We are above that. We didn't come to this table as no borough. We came to this table as an autonomous island running our own affairs. When we came to this table, we already had our own Chief Justice and Attorney General. When we came to this table, we had our own money and our own system of governance. When we came to this table, we had an autonomous legislature that was passing laws that did not have to send it back to England. So don't let it come and try to make me feel like we should be no borough corporation. Tobago deserves autonomy and authority over our space. And we will not negotiate for anything else but that. And then in 1996, when we got the latest upgrade on the THA and how the THA functions, you know what happened? It was 1717 too. And the 2 Tobago was narrow. And the 2 Tobago joined the UNC to make Charles-Pantin the first Indo Prime Minister in the country. It's Tobago who did that. Not Trinidad, it's Tobago who did that. And it's out of that arrangement that Act 40 of 1996 was birthed. Out of that arrangement, again, PNM was in opposition. And I want to tell you, Tobago, that if you have to have another movement on the autonomy bills for Tobago, PNM can't be in power in Tobago. Because they have never given it to us while they're in power in Tobago. They can't be in power in Trinidad to give it to us. And that's why I have more confidence now that it will be done than ever before. And I'm saying now is the time, now is an opportunity that we cannot miss. Not in this election. Not in this election. And so tonight I took my time to denounce 3 sets at the seats. I took my time in chronological order to talk about these issues. But I very much expect tomorrow a slicing and dicing and a twisting. But the world I live in, right and righteousness and truth does always reign supreme. Always. For a while it might look, the Bible says for a while it might look as though evil will reign. But the Bible says, fret not thyself of evildoers. So I stopped fretting about them. They are insignificant, inconsequential to the politics of Tobago. I have confidence in the people of Tobago. When I look on your faces tonight, I see bright minds. I see logical minds. I see Tobagonians who understand what this fight is about. I see Tobagonians who are proud. I see Tobagonians who believe in themselves and our own ability to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps. I see Tobagonians who have worked hard to build homes, who work as daily rated workers and build nice homes and build nice businesses and build our highways and our streets. I see Tobagonians who have done everything possible to make this island the greatest little island on the planet. And so we say Tobago is we. It is an affirmation that we have it locked. We have it in ourselves. We have it in the spirit of the Tobagonian to make it out of this and to build out the greatest little island on the planet. Let nobody trick you. Let nobody fool you. Let nobody cross-trade this election. Let nobody change your mind this election. We're not turning back. From east to west, north to south, we are voting the Tobago People's Party. In the Bonacord Point, we are voting for Nikita Bounty Percy. In Boko Mount Pleasant, we are voting for Keegan Denoon. In Lambo Lowlands, we are voting for Wayne Wasp Clark. In Bethesda Golden Lane, we are coming out strong for Zorisha Hackett. In Plymouth Black Rock, well, we done flattening the place with Kern Alexis. In Bethel New Grange, Mr. Darren Henry will be bringing the victory from up in the hills. Across in Patience Hill, Signal Hill, Tatos, mighty man Nigel Tate will be bringing home that seat for us. Across in Darrell Spring Wim, well, Minority Leader said thank God for the tush you get. But the tush come to an end. We were back with seat, and the seat will be going to Mr. Ricky Joefield. In Scarborough, Mount Grace, we have Trevor James with a plan. In Mason Hall, Mason Hall North, Mariah, we have Ian Whitey Pollard. In Mason Hall South, Bagatelle, we have Natasha Charles-Pantin. Coming up to Monks in George Goodwood. We have the lady in white tonight, for purity tonight, Miss Megan C. Morrison. Coming up the road, we have a powerful woman in the person of Dr. Faith Brebnor. Coming up to Roxborough, Delaford, Roxborough, Argyle, we have teacher Orlando Kerr. And bringing up the rear, last but not least, who must lead must serve himself last. But certainly we have Farley, Chavez, Augustine for Parlatuvier, Lansome, Speyside. All 15 seats. We will beat them going and coming. We'll beat them in this election. The anchor holds. The anchor will continue to hold. The anchor will ensure it stands firm and strong on January 12th, 2026, when we vote for and only the Tobago People's Party. Thank you. God love you. I love you. Have a blessed night. Get home safely, Tobago.
Thank you, political leader.
We have just concluded the presentation from the political leader, Farley Chavez Augustine. It was electrifying. What are your thoughts on what the political leader just spoke about in his delivery?
Well, we see him clarifying some misleading information in the public space. He took time to clear up the conversation about the Cabo Star and whether we are being left out in the cold or whether something concisely was done about it. We also hear him sharing about the airport and also the radar. So the Chief Secretary took his time tonight. He said he would be short, but short couldn't really give him what he needed to really explain what the situation or what obtains now. So I'm really happy that we made the sacrifice to run the hours tonight. It's a bit late, but it was worth it. Definitely worth it.
Indeed. And I think that the issue regarding the radar is very important because we have some political parties in this space that have been fear-mongering and misleading the people and deceiving the people about what this radar is really about. But tonight, the political leader and Chief Secretary cleared the air on these issues. The Cabo Star, the contract, is likely to come to an end in January. And this was known before because this is a private vessel that Trinidad and Tobago has engaged a private contractor. So the Chief Secretary and political leader cleared that up nicely for us. We also heard about Megan Morrison, the prospective candidate for this constituency. Megan is a community leader. Megan is passionate about the people. And we heard all the endorsements for Megan tonight. We heard from Dr. Faith Brebnor. We also heard from Natasha Charles-Pantin. And our master of ceremonies here tonight was Mrs. Sertica Williams-Orr, as well as Orlando Kerr.
Well, just to emphasize, I had the chance to speak to Megan a bit earlier, right here on set, and it's clear that she is the one for the job. It's clear, but you know she's working in the midst of the Movilang and the Bacchanal and persons just trying to discredit her, but I am confident that she's going to bring it home. We have the confidence, we have the pleasure of knowing her in the room, seeing her agitation and her representation. I know she fights for Monsignor George Goodwood.
She's a true advocate.
She really
for the
puts
people.
up a fight, and I'm going to endorse her from my chair here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We endorse her.
Yeah. So tomorrow evening, where are we? We're going to Wim.
Yes.
Yes, Wim tomorrow, and the week is filled with action. The week is filled with action. So
we will be there.
So as we said last night, and we're saying every night, try and make an attempt to come out live to these meetings. Really fantastic. The energy is good. But if you can't come out, Sonny Craig and
Petal and Robert, we will be here bringing the coverage. We'll be interviewing our prospective candidates as well. So it is time for us to wrap up. We are getting the signals to wrap up. So I just want to say good night to Tobago, to our viewers online. This has been a fantastic meeting, a successful meeting for the Tobago People's Party. All the best and good night. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
The proceeding was a paid political announcement.